Hello, everybody. Thank you all for joining. This video today was inspired by a number of different things, but much of it has to do with a lot of the change that's happening and coming, but we may not actually be aware of it right now. So it's a unusual time in the market. And yes, 2024 has been a very bumpy start to the year. But again, sometimes you got to play where the puck is going to be, and sometimes things get delayed in the markets. So let's jump in and yeah, thank you all for joining. This video is called Disruption. And here we go. And now this is investment advice. And don't forget to subscribe as well. The story really is all about this. These are the top 10. Let me move this up so I can see it. These are the top 10 disruptors today, things that are happening. But what's really stunning is the pace at which they are happening. And yes, this is a crypto story. Yes, it's an AI story. Yes, it's a technology and disruption story, because that's what I'm very much focused on, which has been an interesting time. But the top 10 disruptors today, starting from the top, AI, we all know that. Number 2, blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Number 3, EVs. We'll talk a bit about that as well. And a shout out to the ARC team that had some great research. And number 4, robotics and automation. Number 5, renewable energy and energy storage. Number 6, quantum computing. 7, next-gen communication networks. 8, augmented reality, virtual reality. Places like Meta and Apple do a lot of this. Then there's IoT, which actually now there's a lot of IoT stuff happening on crypto as well. And then biotech and genetic engineering, a lot of really solid breakthroughs there that make the world a very, very different place. But before we start breaking down these disruptive forces, I do want to talk about one of them first is Bitcoin. It is disrupting stuff. And just a quick check-in on day 14, the new ETFs of Array sucked in 170,000 Bitcoin, which is pretty large. If you look at the amount that Grayscale has lost, they've lost 22% in 14 days. That's nearly a quarter. They started with 619,000 Bitcoin, and now they've fallen down quite a lot. But remember, what's really stunning is the new ETFs have sucked in 170,000 Bitcoin in 2 weeks. Well, 14 trading days, I should say. So call it nearly 3 weeks. But that is staggering. That's nearly as much as Michael Saylor has aggregated in MicroStrategy. And it is a big stack of all the Bitcoin in the world. In fact, if you aggregate all of the ETFs and ETPs and everything else, they now hold 3% of all the Bitcoin. So it's happening. And this validates my math from the numbers that I publish every day on Twitter and on Patreon. This is now the Bitcoin held by the 9 new ETFs, 170,000 Bitcoin, which is staggering. And this chart here that you see is not slowing down. Straight up. When will it stop? We don't know. Could be never, which is crazy. And in addition, regarding Bitcoin too, this was an interesting thing. And a shout out to Tim W on Twitter, who pinged me with it. But this is the Bitcoin Wallets Buying in January. Not only ETFs are buying, but whales are stacking as well. And you can see here, if you look at all the cohorts from basically under 1,000 Bitcoin, they've all been distributing. But the 1,000 plus to 10,000, 10,000 to 100,000, etc., 100,000 plus, they have actually been growing their stacks. So that is very, very telling as well as we go forward. So do what the whales do. When the whales are doing something like jumping into Bitcoin, you should not be selling to them. That's a little rule of thumb. In addition, it's been a bonkers week for crypto because of Jupiter and a whole bunch of other activities, but daily active users are completely popping off here. You see nearly 1.3 million daily active users on Solana, and the chain did not miss a beat, and it's nearly been up without an outage for nearly a year. So all things good in the hood over there, but you can see how this one chain is leaving the others in the dust, which is part of the whole black hole theory that I always talk about. This is the breakdown of the numbers, and you can see them for yourselves. Number 2 on the list, after 1.33 million daily active users on Solana, is Polygon, 633,000, Ethereum, 378,000, then Arbitrum, 164,000. Now, a lot of people see Arbitrum as the Matic killer, but you can see Matic is still in the driving seat. And then you have the other chains, with the Suis and the Sais and the Aptoses as well. Yeah, they're not exactly taking over. And that's the quick piece on daily active users and layer ones and layer twos. Now let's get back to crypto and disruption, because that's really the story today, and what it's going to disrupt and where and when. So this is a cool little chart. This chart's over a year old, but it's still very valid today. We're already seeing a lot of stuff move to the blockchain. For example, a lot of the activities now happening on decentralized exchanges. That's part of this too. Centralized exchanges, equity markets, crypto markets, derivatives markets moving to DEXs online. Also, the other thing that we will talk a bit about today is global payments and stable coins, digital currencies, whatever you want to call them. They are happening. We'll also talk about smart contracts and, of course, record keeping, which will be a big part of the tokenization of everything as we go forward. So this is the first part. This is super interesting. When you talk about stable coins and use cases, so the big use cases for crypto, things like the tokenization of everything, payments, stable coins, DeFi, but this is one that is quite staggering, and this is from the ARC team. It talks about the transfer volume from stable coins in the year 2023 in trillions of dollars. Yes, trillions. You can see your stable coins transferred 10 trillion in value. Visa have only done 15. So I'd say at this particular rate, MasterCard 9, stablecoins have already surpassed MasterCard. Next in the box is Visa. And after that, who knows what. But the question is, will stablecoins transfer 15 trillion in 2024? I think there's a very good chance, especially as we enter the bull market. And when not only the daily active users are popping off on blockchain, but so will Bitcoin, and that will drive a lot of the action on stablecoins too. Again, as the Bitcoin asset gets bigger, the transfer value of things like stablecoins will get bigger too. So it's going to be a very good year. Let's talk about others. This is stablecoin active addresses, and the fastest growing chain is Solana. You still have the heavyweights there, things like Ethereum, of course, and Binance Chain, but the up-and-comer and the fastest growing stablecoin provider now is that green little block that's growing very fast, and that's part of to do with the partnership with Circle as well. So again, expect some big changes here, but there's a lot of players taking care of this use case for blockchain, which is a big disruptor as well. Let's talk about smart contracts as well. You see the big 800-pound gorilla still remains Ethereum. They have a market value of 274 billion in 2023 tied to smart contracts. Binance 49 billion, Solana 44 billion, Avalanche 14 billion, Tron 9 billion, and Polygon 9 billion as well. But the big growth as well happening on both the Solana and Avalanche chains as well. So these are the underpinnings of the future financial system. Smart contracts enable financial services to be done better, cheaper, faster, and often in a more secure way as well. Now, Arthur Hayes, shout out to Arthur Hayes, he thinks it might be time to get back on the train, fam. Maybe after a few US banks bite the dust this weekend. That is Arthur Hayes saying time to get back on the Solana train. He thinks it looks like the most bullish token as well. And normally this guy has a pretty good track record of predicting stuff, so we'll see if he's right. Now, the other thing that's happening from a disruption perspective is the bots aren't coming anymore. They are here. And we're going to talk about this as well in great detail. In fact, we have the honor of having Cern Basher on the channel tomorrow. We will be modeling live the impact of bots on the planet. Because again, the Chinese are investing everything they possibly have into doing this. They see around the world there is a labor shortage everywhere you look. And this is now the next big thing to happen. This is why we want to be able to position ourselves for this change, because it's going to happen fast. In fact, companies like Tesla threaten to ship bots next year. We'll see. That sounds very soon to me, but if that is true, that would be incredible. And now the impact of automation. Why do we care about bots and automation? Well, this is again, shout out to the team at ARC. If you look at the impact of automation on things like time to do laundry, it saves 87% of your time with automation. Time to make a car saves 88%. And from click to ship at an Amazon warehouse, 78%. All the Amazon warehouses are basically fully automated. The Cybertruck line in Austin, Texas for Tesla is completely automated. There is no human intervention. It's just a production line with robots. That's it. Humans monitor the activity from cameras from a roof above, looking at monitors. So very, very different world. And why do we care? Well, this is kind of interesting. So they believe this is not only is robotics a huge change coming to the world, but it's also a massive opportunity. And based on the data from ARK Invest again, they believe it's a 24 trillion plus global revenue opportunity. And remember, this isn't something that's 10 years away. This is happening now. And if you look at the manufacturing robot potential, that's where all the action is. And again, these numbers sound incredibly ridiculous, but it's happening. And it's already here. It's not that it's coming, it's already here. Now, speaking of AI and robotics too, big news cracked today. Nvidia planned to partner with Intel. And this is a very recent development because Nvidia, not only they're trying to kind of source away from Taiwan in case something happens between China and Taiwan, but also they need to be able to scale their ability to get H100s to market. And this partnership will help package and produce over 300,000 H100s in combination with Intel. And this comes, again, supply challenges faced by bottlenecks from TSMC and others, maybe some stuff happening in the Red Sea, etc. There is a big problem. But there's another thing as well. They will be doing what they call, and I had to look this up because I didn't know what CoWoS was, but basically NVIDIA are dealing with this bottleneck by partnering with Intel to deal with what's called CoWoS, which is chip on wafer on substrate. And the packaging from Intel is a strategic move to deal with all of this. And I think it'll be good for both companies. In fact, just breaking news, Meta published earnings after the market, and now it's up another $50. It's about $450. And Meta also sometimes consider themselves an AI play as well. And they are the biggest buyer of H100s today, and they'll be buying more too. Now, this is what 50% profitability looks like. And this is important because this is a harbinger of what's going to come. The companies that really embrace robotics and automation and AI will be able to turn on the screws to be able to generate very, very high margins. And this is a absolutely mind-blowing picture. This is what 50% profit looks like. From the 18.1 billion in revenue, generates 9.2 billion in profit. That's over 51%. And when you compare things like Nvidia to AMD, a lot of people think AMD is kind of the next Nvidia, and it's done very well. But the R&D for Nvidia is 2.3 billion. AMD, it's about 1.5 billion. Net profit is 9.2 billion for Nvidia, and it's only 0.6 billion for AMD. And the market cap of Nvidia is 5 times that of AMD, but the net profit is more than 15x, nearly 20x, and the R&D cost was only 1.5x higher. So you can see here, it's not necessarily about doing things good, it's doing them the best, and then you can charge these type of world-class margins as well. Now, let's talk about the impact of robots. And remember I said they're already here. This will show you of the change just over the last 7 years. And again, the reason we're talking about this is you guys need to be in position for the revolution that's coming. So the most important thing from this image is the fact that you can see here the increased performance is quite stunning. These are items picked and placed per hour by robots. Back in 2015, it was a tiny amount. Today, it's 33 times higher, and you can see it's three times better than what a human can do. And we are only just beginning. So that's a 33x factor of growth just in 7 years. And it's about to get a whole lot quicker and across everything, not just pick and place. That's just first easy application. It's going to become a lot more sophisticated. Now, another thing as well, shout out to Cern, who is on tomorrow. He put together this cool little chart as well of oil versus bots, just to give you an idea of the actual market opportunity, not only from ARK Invest, but also from Cern Basher. He compared the oil industry market size to the labor market size, which is interesting. I haven't thought about matching oil to labor, but here we go. The number of barrels of oil consumed per day is 100 million barrels. Average cost per barrel, $75. That's a $7.5 trillion opportunity. And the estimated oil industry revenue per day is $19 trillion. Okay, sounds crazy, but it's big. Let's talk the labor market for a second. Number of workers, 3.5 billion workers on the planet, with about 8 billion people. So, what would that be? About 40% are workers, give or take. And the average wage per day globally is $30. And that means the estimated value of the labor market per day is $105 trillion. That's 5.5 times the oil industry. So the question is, it was the other day, this is uncanny. I think it was Tuesday, I said, chips are the new oil. When you look at the SOX index compared to the oil index over the past decade, chips smashed it. Now we're comparing oil to bots and humans. That will smash it too. So, as I always stress, things are changing very fast, and we're doing out with the old, in with the new, all across the board. Now, speaking of oil, battery electric vehicles are rising. Yes, when you read the mainstream media, you'll think, nope, BEVs are dead. If you listen to the CEO of Toyota, you'll think, nope, BEVs are dead. But the fact of the matter is, they are not. And what's interesting here, again, from ARK, you can see here the BEVs are rising. Global market share of BEVs is about 12.5% today. We are in the very early part of the S-curve. But what is staggering to point out here is you've got the ICE makers, Volkswagen, GM, Ford, are all scaling back their plants because they can't make these things at a profit. The only people that do is BYD. They make a very, very, very slim profit, nothing like what Nvidia make, and Tesla. Now, there was also another conversation. I can't remember who said it, but I heard recently, it was very, very wise. Or maybe they didn't say it, maybe I'm imagining it. I don't know. I really just can't remember because I read so much every day. And sometimes I chunder things up in my little head here. But it was the fact that if there were no tariffs on Chinese EVs, the US ICE makers, the traditional legacy automotive makers, would already be dead. Because that's how far ahead BYD is. And we've heard people like Elon Musk saying how much he respects the Chinese car industry. They are already 5 years plus ahead of where the US car industry is, bar Tesla, of course. So the point is, this is happening, like it or not. And I know people love their petrol engines and diesel engines and gas engines and whatever else. But this is also interesting. We are in the very early days of the Tesla Cybertruck ramping. Very early days. And guess what? They already deliver more in January than the Hummer EV that's been around for 4 years. And that's pretty stunning. Actually, the number is a lot more. I don't know the exact numbers yet, but I do know for a fact they have completely out-delivered. And I think so far, the Cybertruck has delivered about 680 to 700 cars, ballpark. But they're ramping slowly. They'll be producing between, I reckon, 150 and 175,000 by year end. And next year, 250,000. So it'll be a good year. If you're on the top 100,000 on the list, you're going to get one this year. So let's talk about the ICE death spiral. This is not my word. This is, again, ARK's word, ARK's chart. They believe the amount of ICE vehicles are going to dwindle very dramatically starting this year. The delta between 2023 and 2024 will be huge, absolutely falling off a cliff. In addition, you will see the number of BEVs pick up, and the tipping point when there'll be more BEVs sold than ICE vehicles on Earth will be 2028. Remember, BEVs are already 86% of car sales in places like Norway. They are over half in Denmark, and other countries are following. In Asia and China, I don't remember the exact number is, but it's close to half as well. So again, the rest of the world will follow very fast. In addition, the big piece of FUD, why the world is against BEVs, is because they say it takes too long to charge. But you can see from this brilliant little chart here, it takes 12 minutes in the year 2023 to charge 200 miles. 12 minutes. The time it takes to drive to a gas station, get out, unscrew the cap, put your credit card in, put your PIN in, pay for it, get the clicker thing to work and hold it and get your hands nice and dirty and da-da-da-da-da-da. Pretty close to 12 minutes. Anyway, that's, again, all the FUD is kind of dying out there real fast. Now let's go back to one of the key points as well that I want to make. And I know it's been a hard time out there, been a rough year for Tesla, but I tried to align, the team tried to align the logos here with the top 10. Again, they're slightly off, but I'll walk you through them real quick. And I thought it was an interesting thing. When I take the top 10 disruptors today, which ones are Elon Musk a part of? And the answer is 70% of them. AI is both Tesla and X. Blockchain and cryptocurrencies, they will be launching payments this year, and I guarantee you they're probably going to be blockchain backed. Then EVs, etc., autonomous vehicles, Tesla. Advanced robotics, Tesla. Renewable energy and storage, Tesla. Quantum and supercomputing, Tesla and X. They are investing in Dojo and underground bunkers with very big data centers. The next gen communication networks, Starlink. You'll be able to, I think T-Mobile are partnering with Starlink right now to give global cell phone communications. AR, VR, that's kind of Apple and Meta playground. IoT, a lot of crypto stuff in IoT like Hivemapper and stuff. And then finally, biotech and genetic engineering, Neuralink, big breakthrough. So again, all of this disruption is happening. Where do you want to position yourself? Yeah, I know things are weak, but that's sometimes the best opportunity as well. And I don't know if with all the headwinds that Tesla's facing in 2024, not headwinds from a success perspective, but from a political and media and everything perspective, it's really hard. But anyway, as far as I'm concerned, we play where the future is going to be, and that will be robotics. But don't believe me. Listen to Cern Basher tomorrow, see what he has to say. Now, back to the headwinds. Again, this is very interesting. When you look at the judge, Kathleen McCormick, who rescinded the $55 billion Tesla package, again, the firm and its employees have been major donors to President Joe Biden for decades. So, again, the optics are bad, is all I'm saying. In addition, a little bit of good news for our friends in Argentina. Argentina eliminates crypto taxes. While other countries of the world are trying to find ways to tax people more, and states as well, Argentina eliminates taxes on crypto. And big thanks to Javier Milei for this. He has a pro-Bitcoin stance, and he just introduced this bill. I don't know when it's going to be passed, but that is very good news as well for the people of Argentina who need a break as well after all they've been through. Now, a little bit of bad news as well. Be on the alert for scammers. I will never reach out one-on-one, not in a million years. I have no time. Okay, so if somebody emails you, messages you, DMs you and says, hey, it's me, it's InvestAnswers, how you doing? Yeah, I'd like to spend some time with you. I'd like to maybe exchange 40 messages one-on-one. You know it's not me, okay? So just block them, report them as you go. But even the head of XRP founder was hacked for losses, 112 million. This is a funny little joke from, I can't remember, but so sorry you got hacked, Chris. Was it bad? Just a couple of my personal wallets, but that was $112 million. That is substantial, everybody. So be careful. Hackers and scams are on the rise. Even from blockchain experts who would have the best security in the world can still get hacked. And I think it was Rob said on DCN Monday, everybody's going to get hacked. It's going to happen sooner or later. We're scammed. So just everybody be on high alert as well. And in fact, a little bit more news regarding XRP just popped up as well. That whales plan to dump another 53 million tokens amid price drop to 49 cents. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. They do have a lot. And when you look at the whale concentration, yeah, don't worry about too much about the founder of XRP, because the top 1% of wallets hold 92%, which is 92, was that billion or million coins? 92 million XRP. But XRP as well, the chart is trending a bit down, so maybe this whale dump could impact that, and it's still 85% from all-time high. So that's a little bit of the XRP news. And another crisis news, a lot of people believe we could be facing the bank crisis part 2. This is what happens when you merge a dog with fleas, and I love dogs. But New York Community Bank stock here, NYCB is the ticker. They merged with Signature Bank, and you can see what happens when you take a company with problems and you merge it with a company. Maybe they don't have problems, but then the overall group has problems. And this is at a time as well when the Fed is planning to cancel the BTFP program, which is keeping these regional banks alive. So what will happen when that stops? We could be facing bank crisis part 2, everybody. So a little bit of bad news. Buckle in. It's been a bumpy year. 2023 was the most amazing year ever. It's very hard to get 2 good years in a row, but there will be good things happening. Just wait for the Bitcoin halving, which is like 75 days away. So hang tough, everybody. Banks are in jeopardy. And the Fed did rattle the markets yesterday, saying they weren't going to cut rates in March. Everybody expected them to. And remember, the Fed is also on course for spending $3 trillion in interest by the year 2025. $3 trillion. That's a lot more than all the other budget items that they have. So watch this space. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, huge thank you as well to everybody on Patreon. Got a latest quote from Lipto. Thanks as always. Best off anywhere. Just joined your Patreon. Brilliant. Thank you for joining, and love seeing everybody on the inside. Again, bumpy January. Some people say, as the way January goes, so goes the year. But remember, the first 5 days of January were good, and we will get rate cuts this year, and there will be money printing, and we got the Bitcoin halving, and the ETFs are buying like crazy. So nothing but goodness ahead in my mind. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the likes. Thank you to the mods in the chat, TND Tesla, American Beijing, K8. Appreciate you all, and have a good night, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow, noon, with Cern Basher. We're going to talk robots. And are they real? And are they a thing? And when will they be coming? And how do we position ourselves as investors for that revolution? So big thank you to everybody. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.